There was heaps of things going on in slave time, but won't go on no more. Because the bright light has come.
Tree with my best friend.
A hurricane is the spirit of a black woman.
Our people already paid the price. Good morning, y'all. Yeah, let's go get some breakfast. People's already active, like I'm slacking. People's already dressed to impress. I'm slacking. I wonder what all we got in store today. Like, I'm so excited. We're gonna continue this vlog. But when I tell y'all, and I'm holding the phone, my bad, like, I just woke up though. All right, let's go. My best friend is already down there, so let's go meet my best friend. Look at her over there. Hi. Good morning. It's good. We added, like, we're about to get ready to go. Where we're going is an hour away. I can't wait to show y'all where we're going. But in the meantime, they out here getting lit. Like, look at this. You can see me in the mirror, but they got the jams going and everything. They playing games.
Check me outside, come on.
That's right. Alright, y'all, so we made it to our destination. I'm so excited. Best friend, are you excited? Yes. Do you think we're gonna cry? Depends. I can't wait to see all, like, what they have. I'm gonna show y'all where we at. I'm a little nervous, honestly, because what the heck. This is where we're at. Do y'all see that? Oh my gosh. Stopping me. What did it say, best friend? You had a what?
Sugar mill plantation.
Okay.
That was successful.
Oh, look. I didn't even notice this. During the sugar making process, sugar cane was crushed, the juice filtered, then cooked in a series of kettles, progressively hotter, ending with a highly concentrated syrup. This kettle, measuring 7 feet in diameter, was the LA Grande, or the first in the series. The largest kettle end was from the large Jackson plantation. In 1960, this sugar mill produced 58 hog sheds, or over 500,000 pounds of sugar. Gotta get in there and see, of sugar. The 1900 hurricane destroyed this mill, and cane fungus ended Texas sugar cane farming by 1920. Damn. It's closed, y'all, so we can't go in, but this is crazy. A bug always flying on my lip. Best friend, look. Hey, pretty. Ooh.
I burn all this shit down.
I want to go back there so bad. Well, we could come here again one day, right?
Yeah, like if you were trying
trying to escape, look at how much.
Yeah, you gotta go
Like, you gotta
through.
cross, you know what I mean? So I see, like, this part going, you know, horses with the guns. Like, they're making their rounds around here, surrounding, making sure no slaves come out.
That's crazy.
In 800 feet, arrive at Varnerhog Plantation State Historic Site.
These trees just look sad. For real though.
She said the trees look sad. I don't think they should be charging black people to come see this anyway. Not say it like that, but to say it like that. Because this should be really free history towards us, because y'all don't even be really trying to tell us our history accurately and correctly anyway. Y'all be trying to really hide it and keep it away anyway, so I don't feel like we should be able to see this for free. Y'all could charge everyone else, but don't charge us. Our people already paid the price.
What these little strings are.
Me too. This is a big tree, boy. I do feel the energy. It's getting a little deeper. Let me go up and touch this tree with my best friend. Feel that energy.
Tell me what you feel, because I wonder if it's the same as what I feel. Like, what instantly comes to mind?
I feel sad.
For me, I feel like it's hot.
And a bug on me.
I feel like it was like immediately just hot.
And then back here we have the remains of the sugar mill and the enslaved people's quarters. And then the Patton family cemetery back here. And then here in building 6, we have an exhibit on the enslaved people who were here. And so the house is being restored right now. It's closed as well. And I can give you guys a free pass to that. Are built, these buildings, the building that we're in right now as well, this was built in the 1920s,
right,
when this was the Hogg family's vacation home. After the hurricane of 1900, basically everything was wiped out except for the house. Yeah, that's something that's interesting to look at, is when you get over here to the site, you can see in the grass where these structures are underground, and like this one's like right around this tree. So yeah.
What do you mean underground?
So it's physically under the earth. Like the foundation of the building is under the grass. Yeah, like same with this one, is that was something that we had to uncover.
Okay, cool.
This plantation, Varner-Hogg, does not bear the patent name. You know, there was Martin Varner, who was the first owner. He would have been one of Austin's old 300. And then it skips the Patton family era and goes to the Governor Hogg era. So it's, in that way, it erases the history of Patton Place or the Patton Plantation.
And so what we have to do is tell the story of the entire plantation and all those that helped to build the wealth and help to establish this great country of ours.
I have the feeling that in some way the truth it's trying to be told.
The story of Varner-Hogg Plantation begins with pioneer settler Martin Varner and his family. They brought enslaved people on a long journey to Texas.
I can just only imagine the emotions that they went through and the pain they felt and the loneliness of leaving all your loved ones behind and having to start over.
Although slavery had been abolished in the Northern American states and in Mexico, slavery existed in Texas as indentured servitude. a legal sleight of hand that helped convince slave owners to come to Texas. In 1834, Martin Varner sold his land to the Patton family from Kentucky. They arrived in Texas along with dozens of slaves who built the plantation home and so much more.
When people arrive here on the plantation, when they see the big plantation house, they think basically that's the plantation, that's all there was to it, but they don't realize that this was actually a booming agricultural complex with many buildings. We had the two-story sugar mill here. There were about 18 slave quarters across the way. There were several other workshops, including a blacksmith shop. There was a cotton gin and just a variety of buildings that went into shaping this into the agricultural place that it was.
For many of those who resided at the Varner Hog Plantation, the only record of their existence are the fingerprints left on the clay bricks used to build the slave quarters. Settlers poured into this area, establishing plantation and farms all along the Brazos River, which served as a lifeline to ports and markets outside the area. Brazoria County became one of the wealthiest and most populated areas in Texas. But by 1850, nearly 70% of the people living in Brazoria County were slaves.
Who's really doing all the work? Who's doing all the building? Who's doing all the production of wealth? So the sugar plantations, the cotton plantations, this entire slave system that was producing this wealth for Brazoria was being divided by a small few.
At the height of this plantation's sugar production, they were making about 245 barrels of sugar per season. The canes would be taken from the field over here, processed through this sugar mill, and then loaded into those 1,000-pound barrels called hogsheads. The hogsheads were then rolled down this little sort of natural chute here onto Varner Creek, loaded on the rafts, and then shipped off to market. And so that's how the plantation ran and gained the majority of its wealth here on site.
Over the years, around 100 men, women, and children were enslaved at Patton Plantation. In the evenings, slaves returned home to their quarters across the creek from the big house.
The slave people formed their own community within the subjugation, within the fact that they were controlled. They still had the power of community.
But one slave, Rachel, held a unique position separate from the rest of the slave community. While she was technically enslaved, the historical records reveal she lived with Columbus Patton, acting as his wife and mistress of this plantation. That all changed when Columbus Patton died. His family, angry at the terms of his will, blamed Rachel and coerced her to move to Ohio, where she stayed until after the Civil War. Patton Plantation was still in legal probate when Union troops arrived to announce that the days of slavery were over.
After hundreds of years and after decades of ancestors that had dealt with this bondage, I can imagine the jubilant atmosphere that it created for the enslaved people to finally know that their prayers had been answered and that they were finally free. You know, the first 10 years after the slaves were free was opportunity for them. They built schools, they formed communities, and in some instances even attained elected positions. But that all came to a screeching halt, you know, when the Union soldiers were pulled out and life became very oppressive again.
African Americans were arrested in high numbers, earning long jail sentences for minor crimes. The old Patton place, now owned by investors, earned a reputation for cruel treatment of convict workers. These prisoners were forced to work in a corrupt and violent system that has been called slavery by a different name.
And so the plantation then began to continue its labor force through the use of convicts. That was their answer to emancipation of slaves.
Even with cheap convict labor, the plantation was never really profitable. It fell into disrepair. Then, in 1900, a hurricane destroyed what remained of the old Patton place. Only the plantation home remained standing. In 1901, the old Patton home was bought by former Texas Governor James Hogg. In 1918, his family struck oil young men rushed into the area to work the booming oil fields. The Hogg family renovated the old Patton home, creating an idyllic country retreat that bore little resemblance to the hard-working plantation it had once been. In 1958, Ima Hogg donated this property as a historical museum, which she filled with her collection of American antiques. Over the years, the way that we have looked at history here has changed. Today, this site also tells the story of the enslaved people who lived and worked here. Interviews with former slaves like Sarah Ford shed a new light on history. Her words remind us of a history that should not be forgotten.
No, me. There was heaps of things going on in slave time, but won't go on no more. 'Cause the bright light has come. I don't like to talk about some of the things I have seen with my own eyes. And I like to think of good things. But I tell you the truth now, just for once, what I have seen.
I do like how they have this like legend down here.
Yeah.
And then you match the colors up.
Because if you think
And
about
it tells you.
the cotton fields is what dominated. And what is the green tobacco? Is that
Tobacco.
Here? And then what is this?
Sugar.
Sugar's here. Look at all that sugar.
And rice, got a little bit of rice, not too much though. And we have another legend. It's gonna tell you the percentage of slaves in that area. I see a lot of 70 to 80.
Look at Mississippi.
Sheesh.
Alabama.
Georgia, South Carolina.
And this is where we're about to go.
Wow.
Yep. So
And then you see
the
the black 80. You got all up through there. And that's another thing. The Texas heat, y'all have my people down here working like in this heat. You can't, and it's not even summer, but it's still just hot as hell. You can't even work. And then I don't even know how many bugs just been flying on me since. Like my people was out here doing the most, and the bugs just too much. So now we're gonna go to building 6. I think that's like has some artifacts there, and then like the only really what's left of the slave quarters because the hurricane tore it down. So
and they say hurricanes be like
heavy over here.
Be avenging our people, like something about black people and hurricanes. Like
so there's
always like places where hurricanes like should have hit but they don't because it's like the good black people there. And they say when hurricanes, like even Katrina or anything like that, they be like, yeah, like hurricane, like, you know, it'd be us fighting back with the water. And so I'm like, when I heard that, I'm like, good.
Absolutely.
As it should have. It should have tore all this shit down.
A hurricane is the spirit of a black woman. See, all hurricanes, not almost all, start right there at West Africa where the slaves was put on the ship. All hurricanes stay underwater and follow the same path that the slave ship followed. No slave was offloaded the ship until it got to the Caribbean. No hurricane jumps above water until it gets to the Caribbean. Then it will hit this country and come all the way up this East Coast. Most destructive where black women was most misused. And it goes all the way up to Maine. And for those of you who've never been to Maine, there's parts in Maine that Canada, you can just step over into it. But Canada's never had a hurricane. When they get to there, they just blow out. No, why? Because Canada never did to a black woman what America did. You know who you are and who we are.
It's crazy how like the main house just stayed and survived.
Right. I was like, what?
Ain't that something?
Right.
So y'all remember, like, we just saw their sugar mill pots. Yo. And then y'all, look how deep, like, this is. Like, they really had, you know, all the way in the back to the back to the back. Like, you really can't escape. Like, you can't. They had all the way in the back. Like, this is crazy. The surroundings is crazy. You all the way in the back. So y'all, we finally got to the slave quarters. Remember, a lot of it, this is what's left of it, of the original, because of the hurricane. But and when you look at it, this is really small. Like, how many people did y'all have in here? Right. This is not a lot. I wonder, is this a fingerprint? No. Because, you know, in the video, they say you may be able to see. That tree kind of split like that.
Entire family, 5 or more enslaved people will live together in one of these, in a 2 by 12 by 12 room.
5 or more. And you said by a 12 by 12 room?
So that's basically you and all your siblings in one room.
They were back here at some point. Like, I wonder if this was somewhere or the door where they came in.
I wonder if they left us.
Open the door.
They wanted us to come back and see something.
Like, bury something in the ground or something. I wonder, like, how many of the butterflies or the birds that fly around this is kind of protecting it at the same time. Like, maybe people could have came back as butterflies or birds and just flying over. I don't know. This is crazy, bro.
I want to know what's that back there. And then these trees are just...
Next, I think this is going to be our last stop here at this plantation. I think this is like the artifacts building. Look, he tried to have him a baddie as a mistress. He knew what he was doing. Child's Play. Rachel Patton instead of Jax. We did like Jax. Gentleman's Toilet? Please do not touch the artifacts. I won't because I got cameras. My burden. Lift the tray carefully, it's heavy.
No, tray. No, tray.
Oh, no. That's gonna be heavy.
That's what she was basically saying.
Yeah, no. I ain't gonna try to break nothing up in here. Listen to George. Testimony of George.
I knew Colonel Patton since 1840. In 1843 and 1844, Mr. Patton's mother and her 2 daughters were on the place, and she, Rachel, was kept a little more in her place. But after that, she had the entire swing of the place. The influence by Rachel over Mr. Patton was very great, and it was observable while Mr. Patton's mother and sisters were on the place. There was some difficulty between C.R. Patton and his mother. Mrs. Patton complained to Columbus Patton that Rachel would not churn, take up butter, or do some work about the dairy. Mr. Patton replied that she was bringing up that old matter again. Mrs. Patton remarked to C.R. Patton that when she spoke to Rachel, she wheeled off and put her arm akimbo and paid no attention to her at all. Whenever there was any new goods brought to town and the young ladies would purchase dresses, Rachel was sure to go and purchase some just like them. She wore those dresses on the plantation where the young ladies were. I've heard him and her have little spats frequently, and once when he threatened to whip, she replied, "Come on."
This Negro Rachel was in the habit of attending church, and upon one occasion she took her seat with the ladies near my family. She had done so several times before, but upon this occasion took up more room than usual. It was in the Methodist Church at East Columbia, and I spoke to Mr. Duncan. I asked him to speak to her and let her know which seats was intended for slaves. After that, Mr. Patton and I were not friendly for about 3 months.
Master Kit has an African woman from Kentucky for his wife, and that's the truth. I ain't saying none if she was a real wife or not, cause I don't know, but I know all the slaves has to call her Miss Rachel. She sure was uppity over the slaves, but she do try and teach us children manners. But if a bird fly way up in the
people associated with the Patton family from their days in Kentucky until the end of slavery. Some were owned by the Patton family, some were owned by others and hired out to work on a Patton plantation.
Sky, it must come down sometime. And Rachel was just like the bird. Cause Master Kit go crazy and die, and Master Charles takes over the plantation and slaves what belonged to Master Kit, and takes Rachel too, and puts her out in the field to work like the rest, and that's the truth. Of course, she didn't stay out in the field long, and I don't know how it was exactly, but Master Charles puts her in a house by herself, and she don't work no more. I guess Master Charles, what took us from Master Kit down, was about the same as all white folk what owned slaves. He was some good and some bad. I knows we has plenty to eat, more than I has now, and plenty clothes and shoes. That was the good part. But the overseer was Uncle Big Jake. What was black like the rest of us, but he's so mean. I expect old devil make him overseer down below long time ago. And that was the bad part of Master Charles. Cause he lets Uncle Big Jake whoop the slaves so much. Something like my papa would had spirit, what was all the time running away. And even does your stomach be full, and does you have plenty clothes too. That bull whoop on your bare hide make you forget the good part. That's the truth. Old Uncle Big Jake sure worked the slaves from early morning till night. When he holler, "All out!" in the morning, you better get out if you don't want to hide. And if you is in the field, you better not lag none. Us don't have much singing on our place, except in that church on Sunday. Lord me, the folks what works in the fields feels more like crying at night. The reason Master Charles and old Uncle Big Jake don't like Papa is cause Papa has spirit. Cause he was part Indian, and they say he has bad manners and is too free. Papa runs out. Sometimes he's gone for just a few days, or maybe a couple of weeks, and sometimes for a long time. And one time Papa run away and is gone for a whole year. That's the time he runs off to Mexico.
Let me go see you.
But most of the times he don't go far. Just hides out with some white folks in Columbia boy don't believe in having slaves.
That's crazy.
While he stays with them, he ties hides on the slide lat, and they feeds him and lots of mornings. When we opens up the door of our cabin, on a shelf just above the door is food for Mama and me, and sometimes stove clothes. No one knows where it come from, and no one see Papa, but that stuff full of us. Uncle Big Jake hear about it and show his man, cause he can't touch Papa. And he takes the dresses and gives them away. And tell Mama he wanna whip her if she don't tell him where Papa is at. And she say, "For God, Uncle Jake, I don't know, cause I ain't seen him since the wrong way." And just then, Papa come round the corner of the house. He saved Mama from the wood. But Papa had the white hot grease strapped on him like I told you Uncle Big Jake did. And got whipped and put in the stockhouse with shackles on him.
My best friend just pointed out that it really starts with the N word, with the hard ER. Convict labor, that's what they doing now in the jails. That ain't nothing new. It's just too much. They was cutting down corn stalks with this. So y'all, me and my best friend was talking in the car, cause y'all know we just came from the plantation site. One thing, like we already said, but we noticed, was just how deep it is that you had to travel to go back to the actual plantation site. Like the ancestors, they didn't have a chance. Like we still driving till you get to a main road, and it's really saddening because it's like a lot of these places, like we're just driving on the side of the road, is like nah, like deep back there in the cuts, like our people was back there. And then another thing was, cause like of course it's like, you know, a historic site and stuff like that, but we were saying, cause you know they selling t-shirts and all type of stuff in there you can buy and getting money, and we get it, like it's a business and stuff, but I don't know, like off the backs of our people, like y'all making money, and if anything, like if y'all making money, then those funds should go to the people's family who helped, you know, build it and was out there making the products like the sugar cane, the cottons and stuff, cause y'all selling stuff so people can buy, but where is the money going? Because one thing we know for sure is some of our people remains is back there still. So I don't know, that was crazy. I'm like, what else was we talking about, best friend, that I didn't? Me and best friend, like we just on a roll right now, and it does feel, you do feel a kind of way, and I don't know, it should be only understandable, like if, especially like if you ain't black, not say it like that, but it's like shit.
I'm still processing it, and I think that more people should explore this history, because it's one thing hearing about it, one thing seeing it, but being in person, is the energy is unmatched.
Yeah, and one thing that I didn't like is how, like, you guys heard the lady, like, it was the hurricane that came and destroyed a lot of that stuff, and I don't like how the main house, like, is still, they building, like, you know, renovating it, it's still looking good, but the slave quarters is all gone. So what y'all saw is the foundation of just what they had and stuff like that, and we found like seashells and shit.
As well as I feel like the hurricane was necessary and it should have wiped it out, because you're not, in my eyes, don't get any ideas of having slavery again,
like Mother Nature trying to do its thing.
Exactly. I think it was, you know, a sign of rebellion. And there's been said that there's history of certain hurricanes that, you know, has happened, which that's why they call it hurricane. But where we are avenging, you know, the hurricane has always been the path of the slavery quarters. Like, that's the history of hurricanes in general. That path of which we were held in bondage and sold off to different places. But that's the same places where hurricanes happen. There's no other places. Do you get those 5, category level storms? And at the time of which they had it, oh yeah, it's necessary. Like, and I'm upset. Like she said, should have wiped off the plantation too. Like, you shouldn't have had a house to come to.
Yeah, shouldn't no one have shit.
And that makes me think, like, was it just the hurricane, or did y'all do some burning stuff down because y'all didn't want, who knows? Who really knows? But it just doesn't make sense that only one house is still up throughout that whole hurricane. What?
And another thing that we were saying, that's what I was gonna say, is we wonder if to them, like, they kind of hiding stuff and not giving us the full history. Because on the pamphlet she gave us, and then like some other stuff, like we saw, like could have been like some other stuff built here, something else existed that she didn't say was there, or we didn't hear nothing about. So that was another thing we was like, are we even really still getting the full history? Because y'all already know how they be trying to do. So yeah,
there was a whole platform just randomly stuck in the ground where there was things screwed into it,
like nails, and
I just wondered what it was.
And it kind of was, of course, like built up from the ground. So it's like, was that like, where they did the auctions, or where they tied them down, like, cause meanwhile she didn't really get into the gruesome stuff. So that's when it was like, like what was this? Like, what was here? What was this used for? Cause we ain't hearing nothing about that. So they, like, now we was thinking about starting like a best friends, like, travel history. Like, we checking out all this
not
stuff.
Not even just travel history, our history. Like, we have to
our
be
history,
the voices for our ancestors. We have to,
and our people, like,
we have to preserve the history. Like, they're literally burning things from
and changing it.
Our libraries. They're telling us we can't read certain books anymore. They don't want us to think slavery was this bad thing. Like, actually, they want us to think it was beneficial to what the economy is right now. Beneficial is so disrespectful, and it's so important that we are the voices of our people. We can't wait for the next person or be upset at white people for not wanting our history to be continued. It is our job to continue our own history, and that's why we out here, and we want to show you all the real deal Holyfield. And you got to hear from the people. You got to see a little bit of what we seen, and yeah, we're just gonna continue that rifled journey of what was once our history.
Just get into at least what we can get to. Like, a lot of people can't travel, a lot of people can't see this stuff and have the opportunity they want to. Like, I'm really interested in just real history, like, overall. And I think that's where my obsession, like, if you know me, like, I love globes. Yeah, put some all the way back there too, huh? But I love globes. So I just love history, but I love, like, geography and just, like, traveling all around the world and stuff like that. So y'all might see another channel, like, best friends out here, you know what I mean? Like, so we'll see.
Georgia, Florida, we
gotta hit the world.
Africa, all of it. We're here to, like I said, tell our ancestors, even to a certain extent, we can only do so much with whatever they say or preserved, but
at least we going and we trying and we trying to be in those spaces.
Pick up the pieces for ourselves. You can be told anything.
And another thing that my best friend was saying, she also wanted like-minded people like us to come and do that too. So y'all let me know. And also, my best friend is a travel agent, so she got it all. So see what we just said. We're going all the way to the back. All the way. I wonder how many minutes we're gonna be driving till we actually get to. It's okay, but I just think it's everywhere.
Yeah. I'm just happy.
And
I'm happy about people in the way first.
period. I like this little bridge, that little walkway. I know they have to build it though.
I was about to say that they absolutely did. This wasn't enough to do. But I know that we would try to hide and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have the horses and the dogs after us.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff you out. That's where hush puppies came from.
Hush puppies? Wait, tell me.
The history of hush puppies is we would get like the rest of the make hush puppies, and we'll bring them with us while we out avenging, trying to escape, and have them for the dogs who are looking to kind of smell us out, so they can sit there and eat. The hush puppies. That's why it's called hush puppies.
It's crazy. Hush puppies. Yeah, because I was hearing about, the whole behind the watermelon stuff too. Then they're trying to make us feel bad for eating watermelon and shit. Did you know? Sorry if I hear my shoes, the floor, and the type of shoes I got on. It's like, that's like squeaky underneath there. Okay, with the family search, I like that. I could promise to read this. This is the back of the house, plantation house.
Actually, the house. This house is so you're able to go up inside to this back door right here.
Oh.
See, and so the house was lived in from the 1850s up until 1998. And so there were different additions that you can see in a few photos inside that were added on the back. So they added electricity and water and different things to the house. And then in 2010, the state came in and wanted to kind of take it back to one of the older photos that we have. And so they took off an addition on the back of it with the modern kitchen and bathroom and everything. They lifted it up 6 feet in the air, They replaced the brick and wood kind of pier and beam system with this concrete system, and they redid the chimneys and they redid the siding and redid the roof and everything. But inside, they haven't really done anything except kind of patch up the floor in a few places. And so, the inside has the original.
You would have been the house nigga. House nigga. I would have been the house nigga. You funny. Why y'all got this door locked and shit? But he said this isn't where they actually lived.
No, this is the plantation house.
They was already doing that.
They seemed like if you was gonna be in this house. This is where the master stayed.
It just smells. Ugh, in here. I think something bit me. Texas doing me dirty already.
Not where we was staying. It wasn't until we got down here.
Man.
Yeah, I don't even think this was worth the drive. Ready to get back on the road.
Right. It's the fact that he said the sugar mill is in someone's backyard right now. It's crazy. All right, let's go, best friend.
Love you.